Hello, my name is Greg Leonard. I'm president of the Ponte Vedra Beach Citizens Traffic Task Force. The presentation you're about to see is going to help illustrate the sources of traffic and drivers within the Ponte Vedra Beach Palm Valley area. This presentation came from research conducted during 2024, so all the information is very current. The Citizens Traffic Task Force was formed in 2014. At that time, despite increased traffic congestion in our community, we discovered that there were no plans for any roadway improvements in our area. As a result, we put together a board made up of representatives of each of the major homeowners associations and community associations in the larger Ponte Vedra Beach Palm Valley area. You can see on this slide the various entities that are represented in that board. The study that we will be sharing with you was driven by the fact that there has been a lot of speculation and no facts about the sources of traffic congestion in our community. We need facts if we are to literally be able to make the proper improvements that are necessary to improve traffic flow and traffic safety in our community. So at our request, the St. Johns County Public Works Department, that is the entity within county government responsible for all of our roads and bridges, agreed to fund what's known as an origin-destination traffic study of our area. To that end, traffic engineers England, Thames, and Miller utilized software called Streetlight Data to provide an analysis of traffic patterns in Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley. Streetlight uses data from cellular providers to track the movement of mobile devices. It doesn't know who those people are, but it does know where their trips originate and where their trips. It's the same technology that I used in Google Maps to get me to this building this morning for this video production. The average annual daily traffic averages that are reported in this study are based on data that was collected over a 1-year period. They are literally averages of traffic flow against 365 days of data, an immense amount of data. The objective of the study was to break down the origin of drivers using the major roadway network in our community and determine the distribution of local, commuting, and cut-through drivers on these roadways. It's very important that you follow how each of those types of users is defined. A local user is someone who begins and ends their trip within Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley. That could be a trip from someone living in Sawgrass to the Publix in Sawgrass Village and then back home. Commuters are defined as any driver who enters the Ponte Vedra Palm Valley area coming from outside that area and then returns to their point of origination, or they can be a Ponte Vedra Palm Valley resident who takes a trip to work or to shop outside of our community and then returns to their home. Cut-through drivers would be traffic that begins outside of Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley and travels through the area to a destination outside the area with no intention to make Ponte Vedra Palm Valley their destination. The key findings, and I'm going to share this with you early in the presentation, and then I'll share more detail on these findings as we get to the end of the presentation. The data shows that our roadways are primarily occupied by local and commuter users. And what that basically tells you is that it is all of Ponte Vedra Palm Valley residents who are the source of most of the traffic, whether that means it's their driving within the community, they're driving to locations outside the community and returning, or their service providers, employees of businesses located in Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley, who live outside of the area, who commute into Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley. Local user volumes are highest on roadways in the central portion of the study area, and I'll be showing you some detail in just a moment that will help illustrate that point. Commuter volume, not surprisingly, is highest on the perimeter roadways. You'll see that especially at the Palm Valley Bridge. Again, we'll be looking at the detail in just a moment. And the other key finding, and this is important to recognize, is that the average annual daily traffic volumes on A1A north of Solana Road to JTB are currently well over the design capacity of the roadway. Design capacity really means what in theory is the maximum service volume for that roadway. Having said that, I also want to call out a fact that we learned after this study was completed, and that is that in 2008, there were approximately 48,000 trips a day on that stretch between Solana Road and JTB. Today, they're only around 49,000. So the aggregate volume, that fact of being currently well over design capacity, is not something that just happened in recent years. The first slide that shows detail shows you traffic composition at the Palm Valley Bridge, along Palm Valley Road, and along Michler Road. Please note the color key at the top of the slide. It tells you what kind of traffic composition we're looking at. The majority of that traffic, as you can see, is commuter traffic. A relatively small portion is commuter traffic that originates in Nocatee and returns to Nocatee. And an even smaller sliver is that purple color that is the cut-through traffic from Nocatee. In fact, there are only 860 trips on average every day through the year that originate, that are not destined to stop in Ponte Vedra, Palm Valley, but use that community as a drive-through area. The rest of the traffic is all generated by either residents within Ponte Vedra Beach and Palm Valley or commuters who are providing services or work in the Ponte Vedra, Palm Valley area. The breakdown beyond that first bar on the left is merely segments of the Palm Valley Road, moving from left to right, and then lastly, the segmentation of the stretch of Michler Road from Palm Valley Road to A1A. The next slide I'm going to show you is breaking out first Ponte Vedra Boulevard, and then secondly, Roscoe Boulevard. They have very different traffic characteristics, as you can see. You will note that Ponte Vedra Boulevard, no matter what stretch of the road you're looking at, is almost entirely made up of local traffic, people that live within the old Ponte Vedra Beach area and are shopping locally and returning to their homes. If you go to Roscoe Boulevard, you're looking at a different situation, because Roscoe is one of those roads that gets used by commuter traffic that may be people that are originating in Ponte Vedra, Palm Valley, who are going to school at Ponte Vedra High School or headed points west of the bridge, or people who are coming from west of the bridge to provide services in the Ponte Vedra, Palm Valley community. The next slide shows us Solana Road, which at least on the point of origination on the west side is the north end of Roscoe Boulevard. From there to A1A. This is an area that has lately seen a great deal of traffic congestion during high volume traffic times, with commuters going to work and with services coming into the area. You can see the breakdown on Solana Road is made up almost 100% of those two type of users. And then you can see to the right, you can see Corona Road and how that is, again, largely local users with a smaller number of commuter traffic. The next slide is going to show you a build of traffic along State Road A1A, which is, of course, the primary corridor through Ponte Vedra Beach. Moving from left to right, you can see how traffic, the composition of traffic, as it builds, beginning first at Michler Road, moving all the way to the right on that last stretch along A1A in our community between Ponte Vedra Lakes Boulevard and J. Turner Butler Boulevard. One thing I want to call out here is the northern boundary for this study is not the St. Johns County line. It is just north of J. Turner Butler Boulevard. So all of the shopping that is available just south of JTB accounts for some of what you see here as local traffic going in that stretch between Ponte Vedra Lakes Boulevard and JTB. This slide shows all of the incremental slide elements that we've been looking at to this point, and it highlights a point that I made early on when we discussed findings from this study, and that is that A1A is beyond its design capacity. And that's a reality that certainly we have to contend with as we look at improvements that are possible for the coming years. Now let's take a look again at the key findings of this study. The data you've seen shows that Ponte Vedra Palm Valley roadways are primarily occupied by local and commuter users. The local users we've discussed, and that they make up anywhere from 50 to 70% of the volume on various Ponte Vedra Palm Valley roads. Commuters are a very important contributor to our traffic issues, and they fall into four groups. It's either Ponte Vedra Palm Valley residents who leave our area and return to our area on various errands. It can be residents who live outside of Ponte Vedra Palm Valley who commute into our community for various services or for social needs and then leave our area. It can be service providers who commute to and from Ponte Vedra and Palm Valley. And lastly, it can be the employees of businesses and schools who are commuting to and from Ponte Vedra Palm Valley. Lastly, as we've emphasized a couple of times, A1A between Solana Road and J. Turner Butler Boulevard is currently well over the design capacity of the roadway. The Ponte Vedra Beach Palm Valley Origin Destination Study included several recommendations. Of greatest importance, the study says that the roadway improvements that will provide the most benefit to our community will be investments in our own PVPV transportation network. These improvements would include lengthening and adding additional turn lanes at key intersections, selective roadway widening, and signal optimization. To that end, based on the past efforts of the Citizens Traffic Task Force and funding provided by our state legislature, the Florida Department of Transportation is currently working to address all the intersection and roadway improvements on this page. The Michler Road A1A intersection improvement is already under construction and will be completed in early 2025. Improvements to the Sawgrass Village, TPC Boulevard, and Solana Road intersections are all currently in the design phase and are expected to be constructed concurrently with the resurfacing of A1A through Ponte Beach in 2028 or 2029. In addition, the existing merge lane from JTB southbound on A1A will be extended to a location south of Marlin Avenue. And finally, our organization recently made a formal request to FDOT that an improvement to the Ponte Vedra Lakes Boulevard A1A intersection be added to the work plan. In closing, the Citizens Traffic Task Force would like to thank the Florida Department of Transportation, the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization, and most especially our St. Johns County commissioners and staff for their ongoing support. We also thank you for your interest in this important information.